This is Josh Hunter. I'm here. It doesn't matter where I am. I don't have anything in particular, anything particularly interesting to say, but I need to establish some things. I don't keep in contact with anyone hardly, so no one really has any kind of a good idea of my mental and emotional state, and I always like to have a record of things. So today's date is December 15th, 2019. I saw 3 shooting stars last night, and I thought that was kind of neat. I think they're meteorites or something, but I'm not like a specialist or something. Yeah, it was nice. So I need to establish a belief. This isn't. I mean, it's entertainment on like a grand scale, but it doesn't sound entertaining to some people anyway. So, when a person is living and existing, you want to know, like, what's their motivation? What do they want? What do they want to do? Why do they want to do it? It's important. When you're associated with people, it's important to know what they're about. And if they're lying, then you should know. And so I've believed in very many things over the course of my life. And but right now, my chief motivation, although it doesn't, I've taken a lot of things into consideration. I have not yet proven whether or not reincarnation is real, and so I think it's important to know that, because if you believe in reincarnation, you would live in a different way. If you believe that you are only living in this one life and one body and that's it, then you have to live in a different way. And if you believe that you're going to go to heaven or hell or whatever, then you would also live in a different way. Each one of those ways demands a different way of living. So, I try and be as efficient as I can with regards to making significant social choices and all the things associated with that. So the belief that I've chosen to believe, I don't call it, I have another name for it, but we're going to start with, the basic stuff. It's called the preservation of infrastructure. Now, anybody who's watched politics or at least kept up with certain things, something that they'll often say is that, infrastructure is not sexy. And I think that's very apropos on account of me being like 300 pounds. I think I'm 300 pounds, very bearded. I think I haven't showered in probably 2 years, 3 years. Last time I won't say what happened, but anyway. Infrastructure isn't sexy, but it is important. You can't. Now, to me, I'm referring to the infrastructure of cities, nations, roads, plumbing, television, electricity, all the basic things that we need. And because if you don't have the preserved infrastructure, then you don't have internet. You're not able to call people. You can't do anything. Not sure if anybody has lived through an actual disaster, if they know what that's like. But when you have, you have a certain appreciation. I mean, when I used to stay in, I used to locate officially in Hollywood, the city of Hollywood. I don't anymore, on account of, all the gangsters are too afraid of me. They don't. They don't like my. They don't like my peaceful attitude, and it frightens them. So I stay in Santa Monica mostly, but when I was staying in Hollywood, I had to walk pretty much a mile or 2 miles to use the bathroom every day. I would use it at this. It's a public park, but there's a sheriff's station there. So I'd always it's by the Hollywood Bowl. I would go drop deuces in the Hollywood ballpark, and it was very nice. I really liked that park. It was very comforting. But I had to walk 2 miles, and it's like, when you have to imagine if you had to walk 2 miles every time you had to drop a deuce. Like, that means go poo, or whatever. You wouldn't feel like so great. And anyway, it's important to me that I do things that preserves infrastructure. It's important to me that I do things that make sure that I'm grateful for this. A lot of people had to experience some distinctly, the history record doesn't show a lot of things. It shows, a lot of these modern conveniences cost a lot, and somebody's got to pay for it. So anyway, I'm just glad that's what I prefer. I prefer to preserve the thing. So how do I go about preserving infrastructure, you might say? It's all in the way I carry myself, the handling of my general it's specific. I figure out the frequency of preserving things, and I apply that frequency as appropriately as I can. So let's say I'm just giving an example. I'm not saying this is the case, but let's say the frequency of preserving any standard physical object, preventing it from decomposing or dissipating, is like 350 megahertz or something. All right. So I find the 350 megahertz frequency, and I just remember it. And as I am around this object or objects, I make sure to maintain a frequency of 350 megahertz, and not go below that. If, let's say, for the sake of this example, if the frequency is to go below 350 megahertz, then that is the beginning of decomposing or dissipating or something like that. So that's what I try to do. I don't do it all the time because you got to be in a pretty good mood in order to do that. But I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm just giving an example of logic. I'm not saying that 350 megahertz is going to preserve things. I don't even know what that means. I'm not like a well-studied man when it comes to. But I was just giving an example of logic. If then statement. So if this is the, so on and so forth. It's been very neat the last couple of weeks, actually. In all the last probably 2 or 3 years, it's been extremely difficult to get the things that I need to try to get the supplies that I need to make myself feel better and all that. But over the last 4 weeks, since I decided to no longer reside in Hollywood, I've been getting all the things that I need. Like I got this robe, I got a jacket today, I got 3 pairs of pants, and this is not like my first Christmas season. I had some real desert level Christmas seasons. Like nobody was they were not about the Josh Hunter program, I guess. But they are this summer, or this winter. This winter, and so it's nice. And I found a skateboard. Oddly enough, I do find skateboards often, but it was such a it was an unusual thing. I went to bed, or I went to cardboard box, or whatever you call it. And I woke up and I was walking through, and there's the parking lot. I was walking this parking lot. It's completely empty, but there's just this lone skateboard, just kind of leaned up against the thing, and I'm like, I wonder if that's for me. Of course it is. Everything's for me, and so it was nice. I haven't had a skateboard in a long time, and I was carrying a skateboard before, but people didn't like. They didn't like it. They don't like seeing me happy. Nobody does. I understand why. It's kind of like when I'm happy, it's like the absolute personification of a person who loves the smell of his own farts. That's when you see a person I don't always love the smell of my own farts, but sometimes they are particularly like good, like just good, a warm, deep exhalation of gases, and so it's nice. But people don't like that. They don't like to see that face, that feeling. It's like, oh, this guy really likes to smell his own farts, you know. But I do. So you're gonna have to, you know. But anyway, I don't know really how to ride a skateboard. I can't like do tricks or anything or whatever. But I happen to have a skateboard backpack as well. I found a skateboard backpack like a month or however many previous, and then I found a skateboard. I'm like, well, this is it. So I carry it around and I use it like a desk. Like I have my little, you know, my fake science experiments, and I use it to, you know, but yeah, I can't ride. I can't even, I couldn't go down the street. I tried, and I'm just, you know, if I fall, I think there's going to be like a crack in the earth or something. No, there won't be a crack in the earth. There'll be a crack in something. Crack in the veneer of reality. Something, oh, dude, you know what also happened was really unusual? I hope this doesn't matter, nobody's watching this. I woke up the other day and I was completely, it was one of the most unusual, it's not unusual, I know exactly how or why it happened, but I couldn't explain it without giving a lot of backstory. But I woke up and I was surrounded by at least 200 seagulls, but like in a circle. Like I woke up and there were like 200 seagulls surrounding me in a circle, keeping about between like a 20 and 30 feet distance from me. And seagulls, they don't, it was like an albedo, you know, sometimes you look at the moon or the sun and there's like a circle around it. It was like that. And they were all just hanging out, you know, and oddly enough, there was like like a faint scent of like a vagina or something, like right just on my on my top lip. And it was one of the most unusual things that has ever, not ever happened to me, but it was so unexpected, and whose meaning could not be easily gleaned, if I'm not mistaken. Like, because first of all, seagulls don't normally, they're not in a circle, but they, you know, I just woke up and I'm like, seagulls in a circle, okay, and they were just around me, and then the smell, and you know, it wasn't like, you know, bad or whatever. It was just, anyway. Which is odd because I don't necessarily. I'm guessing. I don't. I'm guessing. This is you know, my closest. I don't know for sure, but based on, you know, evidence gathered, I'm assuming that's what that's. Well, it could have been something else. And so you know, I hope this isn't like too graphic. Not that it matters. But you know, I'm not running for some type of office or something, so I think we'll be all right. Anyway, so if there's one thing you need to know about me, is that I'm all about, like, I don't know what happens when, you know, we die or other things, but while we're here, we should make the best of it and make sure these buildings, you know, stay up, and make sure that we still have roads and internet, and not do things that lead towards the destruction of these wonderful modern conveniences. The preservation of infrastructure includes the preservation of modern conveniences. Convenience. Convenience is extremely important because you've never had to walk 2 miles to drop a deuce. I have, and you know, I like self-control, but for God's sake, you know, it's the modern world. Anyway. This has been nice. I feel very fat, but it's okay. It's important. I don't like being, I'm not one of those people who's going to be like very much about, I don't like being considered like, I don't like people like wanting, I don't like being lusted after. And so whenever I sense anyone lusting, I always put up something to, you know, like a gross out defense or a stink armor or something. Anyway. Have a good night, and you know, make sure that you do things that are going to be of benefit to me personally, Josh Hunter. Do things that are of benefit to me personally. Thank you very much.